Welcome everyone to the second annual Saudi Talent Forum at Localized. I'm here with you today, Salma, the VP of Marketing, and we are very grateful to be sitting with Rayan Zahid, the COO, Chief Operating Officer at Microsoft Arabia. Welcome, Rayan, and thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you very much for hosting me, and it's always a pleasure to talk to our youth.
Yes, definitely. Today, a lot of the focus is around growth opportunities, around career roles for graduates, and learning a little bit about your own growth. And we're really excited to talk to you about your growth personally, because for the last 14 years, you've been with Microsoft Arabia. And I know when you started, you were actually a senior account executive. Today, you're in a chief role. So there was a lot of leadership, a lot of growth there. And it seems to have been a pattern for you. You move from sales to CEO, and then you move from account executive to general manager. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your journey, your growth journey in leadership, how you've excelled really consistently in every single organization you've ever been in. Talk to us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, thank you, Salma. Actually, it's a journey that personally I'm proud of. And I remember the other day when my kids reached to a certain age where I believe they understand. I proudly look, listen, kids, sit and listen. I'm going to tell you about something very interesting, because usually the journey it's never a straight line. It's never a smooth journey. We always face obstacles, hiccups, and so many things coming across our way. And sometimes we just move and break the walls and keep going. And sometimes we have to pause, take a U-turn or take a turn, and then continue. So there is no formula that says if you do that, you will reach there. It's all about doing the best thing that you should do at the moment, giving all the parameters and all the circumstances around you. I started my career back in, if I recall well, 23 years ago, as an assistant for one of the companies. And right after that, a couple of months later, I was actually an assistant secretary, and then I became assistant GM, and then I became a GM. That was happening in like less than a year. And at the time, I was very young, to be honest. I mean, I don't think, I think I had the experience at the time. But given the size of the organization and the level of the organization capabilities and competencies, for me, they looked at me as someone who is very competent and really like, this is the best guy we have. So let's put him as a GM. Okay. Does that mean at the time, when I think I was like maybe 22, 23 years old or something?
Oh, wow.
I'm
Yeah,
45 years old, by the way, right now. Okay. So I think
you
I
look
think I was
great.
like 23 years old at the time. Honestly, it got into my head at the time thinking that at this age, I'm the general manager of this company. But the reality was I was the general manager giving but not gaining. And that is something very important when it comes to career. As much as I want to give the career, the career or the company that I'm working for, I want to make sure that the company also is giving me. Giving me in the sense of piling up on my knowledge, piling up on my skills and experience. This is how we grow. So think of it. You are at a certain point of time, you are at this position. If you stay in this position for another 5 years, how is market valuation going to be? Am I growing in valuation, or am I stand still, or am I downgrading myself or going backward? Actually, even stand still, if I'm going to be stand still in 5 years, that means I'm not moving, which means I'm going back because others are moving. So I'm staying where I am while others are actually going ahead of me. So it's very important to consider that. That when it hit me at the time that I'm not at the right place, although I am at this top level as a GM, but this is not where I see myself after 10 or 15 years. My value in the market will mean nothing. I'm not learning. So this is where I decided to make a move. That was after 2 years and a half in that company. I made a move. I moved another company, but in order to move, and that move proved my point. I moved as a marketing specialist. So from GM, I had to go down to marketing specialist. I was still looking for my passion. I was looking for what is it that I like to do? What is that I want to do? As a marketing specialist in the other company, it was a real estate marketing and management company. 3 months down the road in that company, I became deputy CEO from marketing specialist. And then 2 months or 3 months later, I became a CEO for that company. Again, it got into my head, wow, I'm a CEO for this amazing company with like 30 or 40 employees, if I may say, at the time, and running a multi-million dollar worth of business. It was super. It was amazing. Actually, we were managing a building worth of like 2 billion Saudi riyal, almost like I would say $600 million. Okay, that's amazing. And you think of it, this is a huge opportunity. Why? I mean, it should be giving me a lot. Reality is, it was not. And again, after 1 year and a half, I figured out I'm not learning anything there. All I'm learning is just the I would say the side of the business that I don't want to learn. It's the side of the business of where you're not being innovative. Just make sure we are just moving day after another, surviving. But we're not being creative, we're not being innovative. Honestly, at the time, I recall um, introducing the email system in the company was an achievement. And
Wow.
I did that. Okay, so you can
Wow.
imagine. I'm talking in the days where internet was actually in very early stages. Internet came to Saudi Arabia in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
what the starting of internet in Saudi Arabia. So I'm talking about the year 2004, 2005. Still, internet was, we're struggling with the connection. Majority of people were using still dial-up. If you recall that, maybe some of the generation,
Yes.
they don't know even what is dial-up. But anyways, Google it. Maybe you will find the voice of dial-up.
Tell
Anyways,
us in the chat if you know what dial-up is. We'd love to see it.
yeah, I would love to know if they know what's the dial-up. Moving forward, actually, again, I thought this is not the career, and this is not the company that I want to like continue and see myself living my life in it. So again, I decided to make another move, and with another move comes another sacrifice. So I was a CEO of the company, but for me to move, I wanted to move to a different career and to a different industry. This is where I moved to another company, which is a local family business in the technology field. And I moved as a as an account manager. So you can see the trend, like starting here, moving there, then leaving the company, starting from the beginning, again from the bottom, then finding my way up. So at that company, I started as an account manager. I believe that was in 2006. Okay.
That's
Um,
very brave. It's very brave to take that chance. I mean, I'm sure you had a lot of feedback from people around you saying, like, no, don't do that. What are you doing? I'm
Believe
sure
me,
people
I
were
hear that a lot.
shocked.
Believe
Yeah.
me. Yeah, I hear that a lot. I get that a lot. And some people were telling me, I mean, why are you doing this to yourself? Your
Yeah.
CV will not even look good. Your CV will look bad. You're a person who is like turbulating up and down, up and down. Where I said, listen, I'm early in my career. I want to find really what I want. Okay, where I can truly excel and see that in a couple of years I am gaining. There is the appreciation and depreciation. Okay, appreciation where you increase in value, and the other ways you're actually going down in value. These companies were not giving me this appreciation in value, in market value. So I started again in this company, IT company, as an account manager. 1 year later, I became a sales manager. Another year later, that's 2 years in the company, I was appointed as a general manager for it's a group. So I was appointed as general manager for one of the companies. It's a company of like 500 employees, running a business worth of like 300 million Saudi riyal. So that's a lot. and we were having contracts like all around the government and the private sector. I mean, from challenge, it was very challenging. But again, coming back to the learning part, I didn't see myself truly learning something valuably new. Okay, I was learning tricks in the business. To be honest, that year I spent 4 years in that company. By the way, it was the longest before Microsoft. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and because I know I kept learning. Okay, but one day this opportunity of joining Microsoft came in the horizon. But again, the opportunity didn't come at the time as I was a general manager. Remember that. So, and I was dealing, by the way, with Microsoft. Microsoft was actually one of the vendors that I was a subcontractor for them. I used to win contracts from government and everything, and I have some piece to subcontract it to Microsoft at the time. So I had my connection with Microsoft folks.
Yeah.
And then one day, they reached out to me and they said, "Listen, we want you to join us." I said, "What do you have for me?"
Wow.
And they offered me this role as an account manager in Microsoft. And I started thinking, now I'm in a very well-established company. By the way, the group that I used to work for, it's like 2 billion Saudi riyal worth of a group.
Oh, wow.
They
Okay.
used to own one of the most famous applications for stocks tradings, and it was unique. They even had were expanding to China and Europe and some other markets. So it was a very well established company. So, but I started thinking, would it be the right decision to move as an account manager, leaving this? And this is where I started evaluating. Again, coming to the looking forward, looking to the future, what is going to be my value in the future? And I made the decision to move to Microsoft as an account manager. And this is where actually I believe my actual market valuation started to increase. And this is where I believe I started truly learning new skills, be it in sales, be it in leadership, be it in business negotiation, marketing, even from operation perspective. For the past 5 years, I'll talk about it. I've been doing the operation thing. So actually, when I moved to Microsoft, this is where I started from day one. No, I'm surrounded with people who are, I would say, like people who love their jobs. They know what they're doing. Very structured, very organized. There are so many processes. Actually, there are so many processes that you get lost in those processes. So
Oh,
from
wow.
that was a complete chaos, no processes at all, and I have to improvise everything I want to do to a company where I have very limitation when it comes to like if I want to do things, I have to think how to do it. I have a process how to do everything. Now, at least this is what I thought at the beginning when I first joined, and it was good because they put me like on a track where listen, come and do these things. Later on, we'll talk about how we can be creative in doing things. And yeah, after a couple of months after the onboarding, I started to see where is actually the opportunity for me to be creative. And yes, there is a huge room for creativity and starting building on my knowledge and bringing more to the table than the normal processes that we have, but at least there was a proper onboarding process, right? To get me and to
Yeah.
continue in the Microsoft culture. In
Yeah.
Microsoft, I stayed 4 years as an account executive, account manager. In 2014, I became a sales manager for the Central region. In 2016, I became a sales manager for the Central and Western region. I got the Western region as well under my leadership. And then in 2018, January 2018, this is where my first step in Microsoft into the leadership for Saudi Arabia. This is where I became a VP for public sector. And 9 months down the road, as a VP for public sector, I was actually asked the role for the COO was vacant. So I
Okay.
was asked if I can cover it until they found someone to manage that role. So I kept covering the role for like almost 1 year. So there was an overlap, me doing the VP of public sector and covering this role as a COO. And then afterward, there was a discussion between myself, my manager, who's the general manager for Saudi, and even the corporate vice president for Middle East and Africa at the time. And listen, we want you there. You're doing a great job as CEO, so we want you to be there.
Wow.
I said, okay,
Wow.
that is fine. I'm happy to do so. Though I found my passion in sales, I found my passion really in meeting with customers, discussing deals, negotiation, putting up strategies together with the customers, 3 years execution plan and the strategy, helping the customers to elevate and everything. So at the time, my CVP said, listen, I want you to move there because instead of doing what you're doing only on your segment, which is the public sector, I wanted to expand that across the board. As COO, you'll be looking after the entire operation of the country. So that will give you the opportunity to bring what you are doing there across to everyone. And honestly, I saw that opportunity and I grabbed it and I moved. And I've been there for almost 5 years now as COO for Microsoft. As a COO, I'm telling you, this role added a lot to my knowledge, to my experience. It's mainly looking after the entire operation, how the cross segments, different departments are actually talking to each other and working, collaborating with each other, how actually they are working with our partners from outside that actually they are helping us to resell, and how we're actually connecting at the same time with our customers, and how we bring this unified experience to our customers, not relying on people and individuals, but more of like a culture that Microsoft is actually adopting. And this is how we go in I would say kind of like similar experience with every customer. We didn't reach that 100%. No one can reach it because there is people element still a factor in there. But I would say in general, we reached that. This is overall about my career. I took a long time. I would love to. I would love to have this as more of a conversation with the folks on the call. So please, I would like to open the floor for Q&A.
Perfect. Yeah, we're getting actually a lot of questions regarding your journey. So people are really interested to hear about what you have to say. And just to kind of summarize for those of you that joined us a little late, so you had talked to us a little bit about your career trajectory, how your roles actually went from moving all the way up to the ladder at a company to taking a step downwards and moving back up again. And that can be a little bit frightening for a lot of people. It can also be very intimidating when you have outside external factors, family, friends, other people in your ear telling you, hey, you probably shouldn't do this. Your CV isn't going to look good. Nobody's going to hire you again, whatever it is. I'm curious as to how you overcame that. So hearing what people were saying, knowing that you wanted to learn, knowing that you had a goal in mind, how did you overcome the voices that were outside, even from people maybe that were really close to you, that you knew really cared about you, that you knew really loved you? How do you push that aside and make a decision to do something that's right for you? And how do you know it's right for you?
Listen, there is a risk factor. I have to admit it. There is a risk factor that I have to always consider. But also, I'm not against listening to people around us. I'm always pro getting the advices, listen from people. But after all, be rational in your thinking. And when you ask someone, you have to understand the background of the person that you are asking for an advice, or for even for someone who you didn't ask for advice, but they hear you saying something and they voluntarily give you the advice. And there are so many people like that around us. Okay. And it's very important to really evaluate the background of the person, the mentality of the person, because majority of the people that were telling me, no, 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 they're actually people looking for job security. And for them, job security is like, stay where you are, just grab, you have a job, just stay there. For me, job security was different. For me, job security was two things. First, I'm not talking about job security today. I'm talking about job security in the future. I'm a person who has ambition and aspiration to grow. I don't want to stay where I am. So I was always thinking, how am I going to grow? If this place is going to grow me to the next step or not. This is one. Two, When I think of it, job security, I bring security to my job. The job doesn't bring me security. It's my attitude,
Wow.
my excelling in work, giving it the best that I can, being creative, always try to do things in a different way. But like when you do something differently, make sure either you're cutting cost or you're bringing more efficiency, okay? Or you're making it at least easier and less resources to be consumed. But don't do it differently just because you want to put your fingerprint as this is my thing. I did it that way. This will not help. So be very much caring about the job you are in. Be think always as a team. This is another very important thing. Think as a team. Think for the good of the company as well as the good what is good for you. Don't ever ignore yourself. There is no 100% loyalty to the company, ignoring myself. Me come first, and then I look after the company. If the company is looking after me, I will definitely look after the company.
We actually have a question that just came in that's specifically around this point, and I will get to all of your questions, by the way, so keep them coming. I see them coming in. But this one
Sure.
is asking, how can I develop this mentality? So somebody that wants to be like this, somebody that wants to say, yes, the power to want to learn more, to improve, but also to be, brave enough to face the future, to decide I'm going to give myself job security. Are there small steps that you took in your life? Are there small decisions that you made that were not the big decisions? Maybe it's uh, going against what somebody says you should wear, or it's something very tiny. Is there a small step that somebody can take to develop this kind of mentality for themselves?
Listen, let's agree on one thing. I'm not here to tell people what to do or where to reach. I'm here to help, like opening and enlightening their mind and thinking toward how to reach where they want to be. For that particular question, at the end of the day, it's a practice. Our thoughts are practice. Our behavior is practice. If I want to like practice the negative thoughts, then that will eventually keep coming to my mind in every single opportunity I see in front of me, and even in my conversation with people. And eventually, we'll start seeing ourselves being always negative about any idea or about any discussion, about anything that is happening. We'll be always looking at the negative part of it versus ignoring looking at the positive side. And the same thing, if I keep always telling myself to think about the positive things, then we will always be positive. But it takes time. It's a practice. Our brain is a muscle. So it's a practice. Just you tell your brain, you practice the way you want the brain to be, where it should be. And one last thing in this part, actually the discussion can take very long because I have passion for this one, but being just
We love it. We love it.
considering of the time, one more thing, that's an advice for everybody, please go and search for growth mindset and read about it. There is something, it's a book, okay? But aside from the book, if you're not a fan of reading books, then you can find things, articles on the internet around it. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. You will find examples for it from education perspective, from engineering perspective, from sales perspective, from business perspective, from company culture perspective. Educate yourself. Don't stick to one example that you read and say that I learned it now. No, keep reading different examples around the growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I think this would help you to see how you can be positive thinking, positive thinker down the road.
And this actually relates to one of the earlier questions that came in. Somebody was hearing you talk a lot about learning, and that was your kind of goal and driver in a lot of the decisions that you made. So, are there some resources they're asking about continued learning and professional development? And I know you did get a certification from MIT. We'll go into that a little bit, but are there resources or other maybe articles, newsletters, email lists, post things that you keep up with so that you can develop yourself on a professional level, or that you would recommend to young graduates to kind of keep up with the times, even if those things are about, I know you're very interested in AI, if you want to talk about those resources, but also things like growth mindset and personal development. Are there
Yeah.
resources specifically they can look up?
For the resources, I can share later on, like maybe in the chat after the call, or maybe I can share it with you and you can distribute it to them. Some resources that I'm actually using. But in general, let me tell you something. Don't stick to a certain resource. Because it depends on what type of learner you are. For example, I'm not a learner. I used to be a reader. I used to be a person who likes to read. But nowadays, I don't have enough time for it. It's my time. It's my bad. I don't want to blame it on time. I'm a bad time manager. Okay, I don't manage my time properly, so I don't have time to read. So what did I learn? What did I decide to do? I'm a listener, so I look for the audiobooks and I just play them while driving my car. Okay, going back and forth, and sometimes I keep the book repeating itself for like 5, 6 times. I listen to the same book again and again and again because sometimes while driving I get distracted, so I miss a point. I let it go. Then sometime with the repetition, I get the point again. So my point is that find what is the suitable way for you to learn. Is it by reading? Is it by listening? Is it by conversation? Is it by classroom? Because the resources are humongous. There are so many. There are numerous resources around us. I can like directly right now to one of Microsoft resources where you can find 4,000 plus trainings. But is that your type of learning? We don't know.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of kind of growth mindset and kind of developing into the skills side of things, because we have a lot of questions actually coming in about skills and certification. So there's the understanding of you have to know your own ways of learning. You have to know
Yeah.
what you're into, even if it's going to change over time. But there's also
Mhm.
this development of there's the soft skills and there's the hard skills. So there are skills that maybe will attract certain companies, let's say like Microsoft, right? A technology company. Are there specific skills right now that you're finding are value skills that when you see them in a candidate, you think to yourself, this could be a good candidate for a certain type of role? Now, in technology, there are very specific hard skills, whether that's software engineering or learning about AI or machine learning. But there may be other skills that you see people develop that could be something that our audience could take a look into.
Listen, the first skill you need to develop in order to get like companies usually hire from the first impression. Let me be very transparent with that because we don't know people. I can have 1,000 interviews. The person on the other side can always tell me what I want to hear, and I'm gonna hire that person based on that. But the reality comes later on the test. When they start working with us, we figure out that those people were really good as they were talking, but others, no. So the first thing that I would like to say, it's very important to learn communication skills. I'm starting with the soft skills, okay? Because this is very important. Communication skills is crucial to open doors for you to get into not only like an entry level job, but even to grow rapidly and quickly in an organization. Communication, communication, communication. If you know how to communicate with your manager, how to communicate with the executives, how to communicate with customers, how to communicate with partners, how to communicate with colleagues, how to communicate with the people reporting to you, all of these things, and you need to learn. You cannot communicate with everybody with the same tone and the same language. And I'm not mean here being naive with the manager and being bossy with the direct employees. That's what not what I mean. But there are different ways of communication that you need to learn and adapt while communicating in the organization. This is the first thing. The other thing, and I understand maybe majority of our audience here are actually students of technology and maybe particularly in computer engineering or science, but also, I mean, for those who are not, I have one piece of advice. Please, if you are majoring in law, in medicine, in like law force, like military or something, if you accounting, business, no matter what, marketing, no matter what, take that degree, pursue it. I'm not telling you not. Make sure to add to it technology skills. By technology skills, what I mean is that if you look at 20 years ago, you can barely see a doctor who knows how to use a computer. You can barely see a lawyer or a policeman or an accountant who knows how to use computer. An accountant, I mean, they're good with the calculators. They can work on it very well, but nothing more than that. And for a computer to operate it, they need IT to come and operate the computer, open Excel for them, then they can start working on it. Versus today, you can see that using a PC or a mobile is something like a 5 years old kid can do it, right? This is how
Yeah, very true.
technology evolved. Now, moving forward, I'm telling you, this is what we see because AI is coming. It is today knocking every door. It's knocking every technology. It's knocking every human being mind that they will be there in every profession. And they're actually going to help. We're talking about the AI for good. Okay. So even though you are a lawyer or whatsoever your profession, if you don't have the technology piece, you'll be outdated. And what do I mean by technology needs? You'll find yourself, you need to rely on technology in your job, not because you're not qualified, but because it makes it easier and makes it faster for you and gives you higher efficiency and accuracy in doing the job.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, by the way, there might be a time where we are telling you in like 10 years from now, you will be surprised to see programming is not something exclusive for computer science students who spent 4 years in college to learn programming and only them can do programming later on. No. By the way, we are doing that today. We're teaching coding to K-12. K-12, this is elementary school. Okay, we're teaching them coding. We as Microsoft, we are doing that. Okay,
Wow. Wow,
people at
at such a
elementary
young age.
school, intermediate
Yes.
school, high school, we are teaching them coding, and they are doing. And you'll be surprised. The 13 years old student one time built a music teaching application. That was like 5 years ago, before COVID-19. So technology is a very important piece. No matter what your profession is, make sure to learn about technology, take elective courses. I don't have this as a background. My background is in business management with sales leadership specialty. But yeah, as an employee in Microsoft, I had to spend a lot of time learning about technology, becoming certified. That's actually during COVID when I decided, listen, I'm working from home. Let me do something useful. And I joined MIT to get like a certification in AI implementation for business strategy. And it was very useful.
Yeah, that's honestly amazing. And I actually wanted to talk so much about that. And somehow this time finished so quickly, way quicker than I thought it was going to. And so,
We should
Rayan,
schedule a
honestly,
longer session.
yes, actually. So we would love to invite you back for a longer session because there were a lot of questions and a lot of people want to know more about your journey and are asking really great questions that I'm going to save for our next session with you, inshallah. And we would really love to have you back, Rayan. This was such a great conversation, but not only that, it was very inspiring. It's so nice to hear somebody who has a journey of excellence that believes in himself and makes other people feel that they can believe in themselves. And yes, like Nora said, it was such an honor to be with you today. Fatima
Honor
says
is
it was a
mine, believe me.
pleasure hearing from
And
you.
Selma, I hope next time if you do it, I would love it if there can be an interaction directly with them.
That would be
I would love
great.
to have this like once I
Same honor.
delivered a presentation at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. My session was like for 20 minutes,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was actually in the main stadium. After the session, 20 minutes on the stadium. After that, I went to the side. I was sitting with the like bunch of students. It's like we continued the session, but only
Yeah.
for another 2 hours.
Wow.
And it was very joyful, and I learned a lot from them. And I would really love to interact and learn from them.
Wow, you hear that, everyone? We can definitely
Yeah.
set that up. Yes, we can definitely do that. We have had sessions very interactive with our students. So we would love to invite you back. We would love to have an interactive session with you. And for those of you that are joining us now, Rayan, if you're able to send me the resources, we can email them out to these students. And for
Sure.
those of you that are interested in joining our next session, we'll be planning it and we will send you out an email so that you can join as well. I did link the next event in the chat so that you can join. Thank you so, so, so much, Rayan. And it was such a pleasure speaking to you, learning from you, and hearing about your story and your journey. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much, and I look forward to connect again.
Yes,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Take care.
Bye bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.